All right. You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic Party of New York City's selection to run for mayor in November up against Eric Adams and Curtis Silva. Now, as you heard from the very beginning, the idea about billionaires existing is kind of questionable. I'm not really sure you should exist. That's what he's saying. Also, if you're a white person in the city or nearby, hey, check it out. We need to take your money, specifically if you're white and rich, and bring it right back to the city because, listen, we got to pay for my campaign promises some kind of way, all right? I said $30 an hour minimum wage. We got to pay for that. We want these free buses and government-run grocery stores with no profit, all these socialist, communist ideas. We got to take your money to be able to pay for it. Now, I hope and pray you guys in New York City do not vote for this man. Please, please, please vote Eric Adams. I would say vote for the Republican, but look, it's New York City. I got to be a little bit realistic, just a little bit, because check it out. In the primary, Zohran went up against Andrew Cuomo, who was the governor of New York, not once, not twice, but thrice. So if Andrew Cuomo lost up against this Zohran dude in the primary, why would I say vote for a Republican in the general election in November? Go for the incumbent, the guy who's in office right now, Eric Adams, as an independent. Now, before I go any further, let's get into a few things. What I want to start with before we get to the video, which I do have, before I get to the videos, what I want to start with is this article about his parents. You see his parents right here, okay? So you see what it says, the parents who helped shape Zohran Mamdani's politics. So look, you got a filmmaker, that's the mom, and then a professor, okay? So these are people that have a lot of money. They're rich. Zohran and his family lived all over the world. First, I think in Kampala, Uganda, then South Africa, then New York. This is a rich person, private school, silver spoon all day long. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But when you say it's kind of shaky if you think billionaires should exist or not, what about your own background? Maybe I should say you shouldn't exist because your family has money. But look, this is his mom, Mira Nair. Now, one funny thing that a lot of people say is that you should support Zohran Mamdani because he's against Zionism, right? He's against Zionism. He's not a big fan of the Jays of Israel. Well, I'll tell you who is a fan of the Jays, his mom, because guess what? She's been married before his dad, okay? She was married before, all right? You see Mahmoud Mamdani, 1991, that is Zohran's dad, okay? And by the way, Zohran was born 1993. All right, so that's a little bit of timeline. But back in the 80s, she was married to a guy by the name of Mitch Epstein. That's interesting. Obviously Jewish. I looked him up. Yes, he is Jewish. So if you think Zohran is anti-Jewish, doesn't like them, I find it really hard to believe when his mom was literally married to a Jewish guy. Now, she's also a director. She directed Kama Sutra. Is this kind of like a little bit of, pornographic? It was banned. This movie that she directed in 1996, this movie was banned in India because of the highly explicit sexual content, okay? Now, she also directed this movie right here called Queen of Catchway, starring Lupita Nyong'o and David Oyelowo. You guys may know him from being MLK in the most recent MLK movie. And of course, she's been around a little bit of everywhere. Now, this movie also starred Zohran Mamdani. So he's an actor, and his mom is a director, and a dad is a professor. Little bit of context there. Now, this is maybe an act. Maybe it's just his real opinion. I have no idea. Let's just watch this, and then we're going to get into the next clip about the billionaires and the whites and everything else. Check it out.
That we do not meet a moment and only look at what people are ready for, but that we are doing both of these things in tandem. Because it is critical for us to both meet people where they're at and to also organize for what is correct and for what is right, and to ensure that over time we can bring people to that issue. The ramifications of victory here is the difference between life and death for so many of our brothers, sisters, and family beyond the binary across this borough of Queens. It's the difference between having cash bail anymore or not. It's the difference between having sex work be decriminalized and not. And with every battle that we fight as socialists, we need to remember what the stakes are and ground ourselves in them and why those stakes are important and critical to us as individuals.
All right, there you go. So look, no cash bail. So, hey, you are allegedly a violent criminal. Go ahead, go back out on the streets and then commit some more violent criminal activity. Terrorize the community. Okay, you're going to have ladies of the night walking the street like it's nothing. So you're going to have a decrease in your quality of your life already from what you're hearing right here. Communism, it doesn't work. No matter how many guys, girls, etc. try to implement it, it never works. Now, let's get to the next thing here. This is going to be with Kristen Welker. What's this, NBC? Yeah. And she's going to ask him quite a few pointed and direct questions. Shout out to her for not being afraid to do so. Check this out.
This question about grocery stores. Some executives, including one of the top grocery stores owners, Billionaires, threatening to shut down his supermarket in the city. John Catsimatidis, who runs Gristedes grocery chain, you're probably very familiar with him. He said this on Election Day, quote, "If the city of New York is going socialist, I will definitely close or sell or move or franchise the Gristedes locations." In order to run New York City successfully as mayor, do you not need the support of a billionaire businessman like John Catsimatidis?
Let's pause for a second for copyright. Now, listen, his idea is to have socialist grocery stores where there's no profit in the city. Now, if you are a grocery store chain owner in the city, to you, that spells doom. Why would I be here if I can't make any money? I'm going to leave. I'm going to do something else because I don't see how it makes any sense to continue under such restrictions.
I don't know if I need his support specifically, but I want to make clear that my vision for this city is a vision for every single New Yorker, including business leaders across the city. And the reason I say that is that my proposals, even the ones to increase the top corporate tax rate of New York to match that of New Jersey, are ones that would also benefit those business leaders. Because when I have conversations with them, what I also hear is the just how expensive this city is preventing them from attracting and retaining the talent they need to grow their business.
So what you're recommending is basically tax hikes. So if they say it's too expensive, then why would you propose a tax hike to make it worse? Raising taxes, raising the cost is not going to lower them.
And ultimately, I'm looking forward to having those meetings, having those sit downs to make clear why this vision would benefit all.
We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
He could have just said richer and left it at that. Now, that wouldn't have been a good thing, obviously. I'm not a fan of this tax and spend, tax hikes. I'm not a fan of it because I know that it doesn't really work. But if that was the case, strictly about money, just say that rather than putting the race into it. Let's see how he answers.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed. We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable. It's one that actually Eric Adams ran on saying that he would change in the first 100 days. He's since sought to defend it and lost at every juncture in court.
But he didn't say anything about it being white neighborhoods, did he? See, don't be silly. You could talk about the tax situation, but why you got to bring race into it? You're a racist.
And I understand you're saying we're simply describing the types of neighborhoods that would see these increase in taxes. And yet, by invoking race, do you run the risk of potentially alienating key constituents?
I think I'm just naming things as they are. And ultimately, my the thing that motivates me in this is to create a system of fairness. It is not to work backwards from a racial assessment of neighborhoods or our city. Rather, it's to ensure that we actually have an equal playing field. And right now what we see with the property tax system is one that is overtaxing a number of New Yorkers and undertaxing others, and an inability of political will to resolve that.
So
I can see how Normans would like him because he is a well-polished person. But what I see is an actor who has policies that will not work. And if you were to elect this guy, then you would see it actually play out. And all the acting and well-polished and private school education is not going to be able to mask the results on the ground.
no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
All right. You are a self-described democratic socialist. Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality. And ultimately, what we need more of is equality across our city and across our state and across our country. And I look forward to work with everyone, including billionaires, to make a city that is fairer.
All right, there we go. So no billionaires. They shouldn't even really exist. So the owner of the grocery store that you're talking about earlier, he's a billionaire and he has a bunch of employees that work for him directly. So if he's not a billionaire anymore, then where do the employees go? What happens to them? Or is the objective to take his money and give it to them? But even if you took all his money and give it to the employees, give it to the city, how much would that actually be? Would that really change their lives? I doubt it when you do the math. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to all the rich folks, all the white folks in New York. Hey, man, this guy is telling you what he's going to do. You're a rich white person. We're taking that money. Oh, well, it's just about describing the neighborhood. You could have just said upper class. You could have said rich. Because I'm sure it's not 100% white, although it might be majority white. So what? Why would you say that? You're a racist person and you have these ideas, these communist ideas that are not going to work. Normies who don't know any better, people right around your age, 33 years old and younger, maybe they're going to buy into it. Maybe you could be an older person to be a fool and buy into it. But those who have a brain, like the ones that pay all the taxes, actually, the ones who really do things for the city, they are not fooled. And what's going to happen is you're going to alienate them. They're going to increase their mass exodus out of the state to Florida first, and then everywhere else second. Your policies will not come to fruition. Simple as that. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about this guy, Zohran Mamdani? Do you think he's going to be a great mayor of New York City if he's elected? Would he be a bad mayor? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. He would be a terrible mayor. And I hope and pray you guys don't vote for this dude. Please vote Eric Adams. That is who you need to vote for. Is he perfect? No. Is anybody perfect? No. But I tell you what, he's much better than this guy, and it's not even close. Curtis Silva, I like him a lot, but we got to be realistic. It's New York City, a Republican winning in 2025. I don't really see it happening. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.